Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about 6 key elements that will help you hopefully um, assess whether you want to get into real estate investing, right? The first one, number one, know yourself, right? The first thing is real estate the right fit for you as an investment asset class, right? You have several asset classes, and I'll talk about this on a different YouTube channel. I'm sorry, different YouTube video I have where I talk about real estate and equity markets. Real estate has many benefits, and I'll talk about that also in my other video. But for real estate specific, you want to know whether it's the right investment class for you, right? Small real estate investors tend to be small mom and pop landlords that own several houses, several buildings, whether it's a family oriented business, and so on and so forth. One of the things to keep in mind is, are you a handy person, right? Or you not a handy person? Do you want to partner with someone that's handy? Do you want to learn some trades, right? Do you want to invest the time to learn how to fix some plumbing issues, electrical issues, learn how to plaster walls and things of that nature? So those are the type of things you have to kind of be self-aware about yourself and whether you're willing to do that or willing to learn that. So I think that's key that typically no one ever mentions. They just say, yeah, get into real estate investing or own a piece of real estate. That's great, right? But if you know yourself enough, whether you're saying you're going to say this, I'm willing to learn these things, and the one thing is you may not have to do all of these things, but you want to be conscious of the fact of the price that it may cost you to fix these things, because you're going to come into issues, right? Where you're gonna either outsource that type of work, but you want to make sure that no one is really taking advantage of you because of you not knowing several price points or the time and labor it takes to fix certain items, right? Number two is you want to make sure you have reserves. So number one is know yourself, be self-aware of what you're capable of doing. Like I mentioned earlier, real estate is a tactical sport. It requires you to sort of be out there, meet people, network with title companies, network with real estate agents, network with wholesalers, right? So those things are necessary for you to invest in real estate or be successful in real estate. Whereas investing in the equity markets, you can kind of do it from home, right? So it's just knowing yourself and being self-aware enough whether you're saying to yourself, do I am I an introvert or an extrovert, or do I want to roll my sleeves up and fix toilets, or do plumbing, fix plumbing issues, collect garbage, or outsource these items, and at what cost am I willing to outsource these items, right? The next thing is reserves. You want to evaluate your reserves. Say you want to start out small, right? And you want to say, I want to buy a single family house. That's $100,000. I'm going to put $20,000 down plus closing cost, whatever that is. 2 to 5% closing cost. So now you have your first investment property that you're renting out. The question you got to ask yourself is, how am I going to cover, say, a major furnace issue, a major roof issue, a major boiler issue, a major plumbing issue, right? So you want to have these reserves to cover these expenses. Number three, you want to evaluate your asset type, right? Real estate has several asset types: single family, multifamily, commercial, storage units, you name it, right? Land, right? So property has several asset types. You want to evaluate which asset type do you want to invest in, right? And then as a subcategory of that is, do I want to invest in long-term rental, monthly tenant, or I want to invest in short-term rentals, right? Airbnb or any other platform. So those are things you want to evaluate. And each of these asset types have an exit strategy, right? You want to make sure that you have an exit strategy lined up for each asset type. Have a contingency plan for each asset type, right? Say you want to invest in and I'll give you an example. So you want to invest in a single family in a neighborhood that's a metropolitan area, right? It's a city. It has some good attractions. It has some attractions for tourist people, but there's also families that live in that neighborhood or in that community, right? You want to have contingencies. Should I rent this out, to your conventional tenant, or can I actually have rent this out as a short-term investment, a short-term rental, right? Where I can get more money per month at the exchange of more maintenance issues, or you're going to have a lot more people going into this property. So evaluating that, it's also critical, right? Evaluating number 4 is evaluating your market, right? And when I mean market, I don't mean I mean whether it's a primary market or a secondary market and so on and so forth, right? You want to evaluate that. You want to make sure that you're investing in a market that the cost of the jobs are there. People are actually gravitating towards that market that you're investing in, right? That the prices of the rentals and properties are increasing, right? You're getting some sort of equity when you buy lower than the intrinsic value of the property, right? So evaluating that market, evaluating the population growth, right? And I touched on this in previous videos as well. You want to make sure you understand the market, right, that you're investing in. You just don't want to say, I want to go into, I want to invest in Idaho. Not that there are no rentals or people that live in Idaho, but you may struggle, right, because you don't know that market. You're not well versed in the demand for that market. Number 5, demographics. You want to understand the demographics in each of the areas, right? You may have a market that's a blue collar. Where the demographics are blue collar workers, maybe some white collar workers, maybe some construction workers, maybe some handy people, right? So you want to understand the demographics. You may want to understand also the type of, the age group of people that live in the area, right? So you don't want to have, a neighborhood that has long-term renters that are between 35 and 54 years old, and then you're renting to college kids, right? Or recent grads who may play loud music and or may not be picking up after themselves, right? So you want to make sure you understand the demographics of the community, of the area, where their demands are, just to make sure that you structure your rentals and your renters to fit the community, right? To make sure there's no disruptions, because what can end up happening is you may get a lot of complaints because of your renters. So you want to make sure you understand that as well. Number 6, you want to understand laws. You want to understand federal, state, county, municipality laws. You want to understand whether that state, county, it's tenant friendly, landlord friendly. So that's critical as well. You may not fit a state or municipality that's tenant friendly, right? Most landlords get into this because they want laws to favor them, right? Some states, when a tenant doesn't pay the rent, you may be able to get rid of that tenant in 60 days. Some states require 6 months, right? And so because of bureaucracy in the process, they want to make sure that you gave the tenant the opportunity to pay you the rent, whereas there are certain counties in certain states that they want that person out the minute they don't pay the rent, 30 days after, right? So you want to make sure you understand that, and your investing strategy fits that. And then number 7 is you want to evaluate whether you want to invest in your backyard, meaning if I am from Philadelphia, I want to invest in Philadelphia, or do I want to invest out of state, right? Out of state is going to require you to, again, go back to number 1, which is knowing yourself, right? Knowing yourself is you're saying to yourself, okay, can I invest out of state? Am I a good people person where I can put in a team together that can look out for that investment property I have across the states or across several state lines, right? Do I have a good attorney at that location? Do I have a good CPA that understands laws, accounting laws at that state? Do I have a good contractor, a good property management company that understands the laws and policies in that state, right? Or you know what? I am a micro manager, if you will. I like to be there physically. If there's an issue with a tenant, I like to be there physically. I don't trust anyone, at least not starting out. I want to be there whenever there's an issue. So those are things you want to evaluate as well, right? Out of state, or whether you're here, whether you're physically there or whether you're investing out of state, you're gonna have issues. And so it's just what your comfort level is with troubleshooting those issues. Me personally, I'm okay either way. I have properties that are out of state and I have properties that are in my backyard. And sometimes it's just knowing yourself, right? What are you comfortable with? Can you trust people? No one is really going to do the job or is going to be as demanding as you, as a person or as an investor who owns a property. But again, you have to evaluate yourself and go back to that number one key element that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, which is knowing yourself, being self-aware. What are you comfortable with? No matter what anyone says, you have to kind of do things that work for you. And so those are my key items. I hope I was able to simplify these things for you guys. Please like, subscribe, and share. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments. Thank you guys for tuning in. Peace.